that metal interview.
Mr. Jack Gibson, bassist extraordinaire for EXODUS, the Bay Area legendary thrash band that we all know, of course. Mr. Gibson joins us on our podcast to chat and discuss the new record and different experiences that he's had over the years with EXODUS. We also ask him the question about comparing, I guess, Zetro to Rob as far as vocals and working with those two different vocalists. And of course, he talks to us about the new record, Persona Non Grata. Persona Non Grata. I'm not sure the correct pronunciation, but there you go. So, Nuclear Blast, you guys can find about 2 jams on YouTube and digital formats. The Years of Death and Dying, and I believe the other one is called The Beatings Will Continue. Both songs are extracted from Persona Non Grata, the up-and-coming album coming out very, very soon on Nuclear Blast Records, so be looking out for it, guys and girls. EXODUS, as always, delivers brutal thrash, man. So, big shout-out to all the guys in the band. Holt, Mr. Gary Holt, Zetro, in which Zetro is going to be a part of our podcast also in the coming days also. We have him scheduled to be on the show, so be looking out for Mr. Zetro to be on our show. So right now we got Mr. Jack Gibson, bassist for EXODUS. Let's hear a jam from EXODUS. Let's go with The Years of Death and Dying. We'll be right back.
Years of death and dying, a tale of grit.
Killer. Killer is the word. Sick is the word I can find to describe this band's arrangements. Mr. Holtz, Mr. Hunting's killer ideas, and all the people that pitched in for that song, man. Awesome stuff. Zetro, Mr. Jack Gibson, Holt, and so on and so forth. So here we go, man. Let's speak to. Here is our interview with Mr. Jack Gibson. Enjoy. New album, Persona Non Grata, coming out November 19th. Talk to us about this record. I understand Tom and Gary usually, as I understand, they start the process. Or can you talk to us about this process?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's Gary's the Gary's the mastermind, behind most of the stuff. So him and Tom just get in a room together, half stack and drum set, just old school style, and just start beating out, riffs and songs, and they get a lot of most of it worked out, and then he usually spends about a month working on it, maybe a little more, and then we spend about a month recording it after that. And Gary's just a machine. Like, he kind of keeps all of his ideas filed away in his head somewhere, and then when it's time to start putting songs together, he just sits down and kind of just makes it happen, man. He does it every time. It's he's one of the great ones, man. He
has some crazy ideas and riffs, man. I mean, is he human?
Sometimes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, he's Gary's. He's just one of those unique guys, that does everything by a feel. Like, he doesn't even really think in terms of music and theory and things like that. Like, he does things that are outright wrong. For if you're just talking straight theory, and it just goes by his heart and his ear and his hands, and he forges some pretty off the wall stuff.
Very cool, for sure. Cool riffs, awesome stuff. I play some guitar myself, and that's just crazy. How do you come up with that stuff? So
yeah, it's just the cartoon mind of Gary Holt.
And then you gotta emulate that, on the bass. So how does that go? I mean, do you take time to? Is it kind of quick learning his stuff, or do you take stuff home and then?
Some of it's really, really difficult. I had some really difficult moments, during this recording, just, kind of getting to the point where I wrap my head around the riff itself takes me some time. Like, what my hands can do, my mind still has to tell them to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so inevitably, man, there's a few, things on the album, when Gary starts, handing me riffs, which is a riff overload, at that moment. And then, man, there's always some stuff that I just don't get. And I can sit with him and he can do it right in front of me, and I just don't get it, It takes me a while sometimes to, for my mind to click it into place, and then for my hands to click it into place. So I mean, it's not easy. That's for sure.
Some people don't know. I mean, you have a tough job. That's tough. Following that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but then once I get it and I learn it.
Yeah.
Then my job's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then I'm just recalling these, 30, 40 tunes that I know. You know what I mean? So, then it becomes to a point where you learn it and you're not even thinking about it, and then you're performing instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just secondhand. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's that initial riff dump where I'm like, what the fuck? And then Gary's busy doing his job, so he doesn't always have time to just take a minute and sit there with me while I get it. Like
Yeah.
that's my job, is to get it. You know what I mean? And so, like sometimes it's a little bit hard, man. But yeah, I mean, it always works out. And, like by the end, it always comes together. You're never all the way ready
Yeah.
to do something like this, and you're never all the way done. So like really kind of the art form of doing this is, just you just do it, and you count on your skills, and you let it go at some point. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
that's just the way it is. Like especially these days, like you can sit and tweak on an album till the end of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at a certain point, the cutoff switch is there, and it's done, and you're done, and then it's time to start thinking about other things.
So that explains it. He just might not be human.
Yeah, right.
So how do you think this new album? I haven't heard it, of course. We have not heard it, except that video, of course.
Right.
How is it different from your previous album? Do you think it's a continuation, or is it different?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's different. I mean, I think that the songs are. I hate to use the word catchy, because that kind of implies some kind of commercializing of what happened. Which I assure you that the beatings will continue.
Yeah.
Is not even close to the heaviest song on the album. Like some of the like some of the ridiculous shit you can't just dump on people right away. So so I mean there's just more to there's a lot more to come. So
it's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear it. Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
As always, it's crazy good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's there are the choruses are catchy. You know what I mean? Like it's not singy or chorusy or anything that's not Exodus. You know what I mean? But it's catchy, just rhythmically. Like it's like you can really like sing along to this album. You know what I mean? Like as you're going. I mean, like Slayer has like hooks, you know what I mean? And metal can have hooks in the vocals, even though it's just yelling, and it's all in the timing and the like the way that the choruses come in, and the grand words that are used, and so like it's just Gary outdid himself. Like some of the songs they're just fantastic.
Real quick story. I almost saw Exodus live back in '88. You weren't there, of course, but it was the Headbangers Ball tour. Anthrax, Halloween, Exodus, San Antonio, Texas. So Exodus didn't play because they couldn't find one of the guitar players.
Oh.
So I don't know who it was, Gary or Rick.
That was probably Rick. That's definitely Rick's. Sounds like Rick's MO more than Gary's. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got pretty close to seeing you guys live.
That's
so
funny.
So anyways, right? I was like, damn, I was so close, man. Halloween and Anthrax still perform though. But anyways, take us back to the beginning of your musical career. At what age did you first pick up an instrument?
Oh man, I mean, I had played guitar, like just kind of crappy guitar lessons, as early as 7th and 8th grade, I think, and then I had some friends that played metal guitar and rock guitar and stuff, so I decided to play bass so that I could just play with them. Because they were like already good at guitar, so I didn't think I was going to catch up to them.
Yeah.
And so I started playing bass, and like basically the one guy said, "Play bass, dude. Nobody plays bass." You know what I mean? He goes, "You'll be able to play with everybody." And so I just started playing bass, and then I ended up going to MI when GIT was a real big thing, and I went there with the bass school, and then I met a metal band there, and we moved back up to the Bay, and I was playing just normal stuff with the local band here, and then I ended up hooking up with the Exodus guys, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah, I heard the story on how you got the Exodus gig on one of your interviews. Can you share that story for the people that don't know that story?
Yeah, I was. Well, I had basically I was in a band with Tom and Gary called War Dance, and then that turned into the Another Lesson in Violence version of Exodus, which had got Rick and Bailoff back, and so I had just hooked up with Tom and Gary. I had actually given a friend of mine a ride to try out for vocals for the band War Dance, and then I ended up playing bass with the band instead, and then I just ended up sticking with them when it turned back into Exodus. It was it was just lucky for me. Like Robbie just didn't want to get back into doing it.
Yeah.
So when they asked him, to do the original lineup thing, he said no. And then I was kind of already tight with Tom and Gary at that point, so they just brought me in.
So what year was this, give or take?
Well, that was 96.
Yeah.
Going into the album came out in 97.
So going back, you mentioned Musicians Institute.
Yeah.
How's that experience for you? I mean, I studied a little bit of music, high school, and then a couple of books on theory. Nothing like that, But how was that experience for you? Does that come in useful nowadays?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, it's music. It's a jazz school with, a lot of rock, stuff. But, I mean, they were very serious about, like jazz structure, music stuff. And, yeah, man, I mean, it was just a great place to learn and start. Like, back in the day when I was there, like the bass school was so heavy with awesome guys. I mean, Steve Bailey was there, and Gary Willis was there, and I mean, Billy Sheehan was popping in and out.
Wow.
And I mean, it was heavy there, man. Like the guys who were teaching were like just the heaviest guys, and yeah, man. I mean, I learned a lot. You know what I mean? Like they didn't teach me a lick of metal. I taught myself all of that, but they taught me, just basic music and like the mechanics of the bass too, like how to how to use your hands right and not burn yourself out and stuff like that. But and also with that place too, what it really does is it gets you kind of ready for the real world, because they make you jam with people even like that you don't know. Like you go into these classes and it's people from all the schools, and then the teacher goes, okay, you and you and you and you go into a room and learn this chart.
Really?
And come back in here and play it in 10 minutes.
Oh wow.
You got 10 minutes to go in with people you probably don't know and probably never played with, nail it down and come back in and play this little funk turnaround for the guy, and he goes, okay, cool, you guys pass. So like one of the things it did was once I got out of the school, I wasn't afraid to go try out for anything or to step into a situation that I was uncomfortable with, because they put me into 100 uncomfortable situations already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so just going and playing with people that you don't know, that ain't scary to somebody that went to MI. Like we did that shit all the time. So that's I think one of the best things is you're not afraid to go get a gig.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's cool. I did not know that. Cool.
Yeah.
How was the Psycho Las Vegas gig? How did that go down?
Oh man, it was great. Yeah, it was cool. Kind of a cool festival. I hadn't been there before. I'm, not even a huge fan of going to festivals myself, but like this one was actually kind of cool because you're in Vegas and you can go back to your room, or you can, drive off site and go do something else if you want. It's kind of cool, man.
Yeah, cool. Jamming with you got the jam with John, a different drummer, huh?
Yeah, we did that this last weekend too, out at the Full Terror Assault
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Festival. So yeah, that was he was an old member, and so when Tom wasn't going to be able to do these shows, he was one of the first. I think he was the first person Tom even called and asked.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great, man. I've always wanted to play with Johnny. I've got to play with. He was kind of one of the last of the great metal drummers that I've got to play with. I got to play with Tom, Bostaff.
Awesome.
I did a song with Charlie Benante before. I've jammed with Lombardo, a bunch.
Wow.
I've gotten to play with just all of the Gene Hoglan and like all these killer guys, and I hadn't actually got to sit down and play with John yet, so that was like another bucket list.
Awesome.
Moment,
Wow.
Yeah.
All badass drummers. Can you?
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky, as far as a bass player goes, man. I've kind of hit I've kind of hit like most of the guys who I think are the great drummers. So
Can you give us an update on Tom? How's he doing?
Tom is doing great, actually. He's in great frame of mind, and he seems to be coming along well. I'm just really, really happy. Like he seems to be doing great.
Awesome.
I talk to him, pretty regularly. I try not to bother him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and every time I talk to him, he sounds great. He's just got good things to say. The doctors are, pretty optimistic about what's going on, and so yeah, man. I got only good things to say.
Cool. Very, very good news for us
Yeah.
fans. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
sure.
speaking of the live part of Exodus, I'm a fan, of course, and out of so many badass songs, man, how do you come up with a song list, for a gig? It's just so many. There's so many of them,
Yeah, it's a fight, and actually I kind of keep my hand out of it, because like I just don't do it well.
Yeah.
Like I like deep cuts, and I just pick shitty songs. Like I know I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
So it's mostly Gary's job, or even like when Gary wasn't in the job, it was Tom and Zetro's job. And then like once I look at it, I can go, well, maybe those two shouldn't run into each other because they're both slow, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I'm just not really that good at it, and like other guys are better at looking at it and thinking of the momentum of the songs and all that kind of stuff. So, but there's old favorites that you just have to have in there, and then there's usually new stuff that we're trying to get people to hear, and you just kind of have to make a blend of both of those.
Yeah. So how is it working with Zetro compared to Rob?
Oh man, all singers are assholes. So it's just no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's like any other musician. Like every person has their their pros and cons. You know what I mean? That's it's good to have him back. He's it makes it the band. It's kind of the sound of the band identity. For all those years, and it's familiar to people. And he's excited to be back, and he's just he's out there talking to the fans, and he's loving it. So it's good.
Very good. It's cool for us fans. I'm a fan of both. Both eras,
Yeah.
if you want to call it that. Rob's stuff is badass too.
Yeah, I agree. I love the albums that we did with Rob. They're great.
So going back to your past one more time, is there any update or any hopes of Circle of Vengeance?
I kind of don't think so. Everybody's just gone their own ways for these so many years that I don't really think so.
Yeah, something from the past.
Yeah, but we all keep in touch, and we all still get on the phone and laugh our asses off and talk shit to each other. So
Cool.
yeah.
So I read you play in a country band also. You got a country band going.
Yeah, I do. It's called Coffin Hunter. It's kind of in the Hank 3, side of things. It's kind of the punk country type stuff, just because of who I am, and it's not radio country at all.
Yeah.
It's it's like old trucker country, 70s trucker country.
Cool.
With heavy picking. I pick banjo in it, and
Really?
and,
Wow.
and do the storytelling, and it's the old country music nobody writes anymore that I wish somebody would write, and then I just sat down and did it, go out and play it, sometimes, and it's a lot of fun, yeah.
So you're doing bass and banjo or just banjo?
On the recording, I do most of everything, so I play the bass on the recordings, but live I just sing and play banjo. I do a little guitar as well, but I have another person playing bass.
Oh, very cool. That's very different than playing metal. That's a whole different animal.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they're strangely related in ways. The attitude of the old country guys is very close to the attitude of the metal guys.
Yeah.
Like especially like the Texas era of country, the Willie and Waylon, and that whole thing. They had just left Nashville here to, because they were like the punk rockers, like they wanted to record their own way with their own people, do their own thing. And Nashville's always been very radio driven. Like if they can't get it on the radio next week, they're afraid of it. And, they were kind of the original, independent punks, you know what I mean? Like, well, they were like, yeah, well, fuck it, I'm leaving then. I'm not going to do what you say, and, so they were badasses too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of defiant streak, ran in them, I think, early, and, kind of gave us the backbone to go, yeah, fuck you. Johnny Cash said, fuck you too, you know what I mean? And so, I think it worked out. They blend strangely to each other. There's fast picking, and mean words, and so.
Yeah, I understand that the progressions and all that, the theory part of it. I've helped out a country band here in town a couple of times. I play metal, and then I play different stuff, and it's a different animal, I mean, these songs are George Strait kind of stuff, and Alan Jackson.
Right.
But it's completely different than Slayer or Exodus. It's just a different.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's a different dynamic and different swing, and
everything.
It's all good, man. Musics are different musics are good for different reasons. You know what I mean? And, so.
So give us your best gig and your worst gig.
Oh God, man, that's pretty tough.
Right.
One of the worst gigs was when we opened for Iron Maiden in San Bernardino, and the board went out right before we went on.
Oh.
And our sound guy, who was a miracle worker, ran down and went behind stage and mixed us from backstage on Maiden's monitor desk.
Oh, wow.
And it was just a fucking mess. And we were, playing in front of 25,000 people, and
damn,
we couldn't hear anything, and it was shitty. But no, that was one of the worst. Best, man. I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you what the best gig was. There's been so many. There's been so many best gigs.
Yeah, a bunch of those. Yeah, for sure. Can you do it?
I've been doing it for 25 years now. There's just, there's just been some majorly epic, moments.
Awesome. Would you like to send a message to the fans, to the Exodus fans, the Jack fans, listening to this podcast?
Yeah, man. Just hopefully the weird world that we're living in will straighten itself out, and we will see you out there where we can do what we've always done and have no fear.
Awesome, Jack. Appreciate the time and hope to see you on the road soon, you know.
Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, it was good talking, man.
And we appreciate your choice of podcast. Thank you for clicking on our podcast, That Metal Interview. On behalf of me, James, your friend, your rock friend, your thrash metalhead friend, thank you guys and girls. Thank you for choosing out of so many podcasts, man. It's just the world is full of shows and podcasts nowadays. So we truly appreciate you sharing our podcast. You know, thank you for first of all, thank you for even clicking on these on our podcasts out of so many. You know, so we appreciate that. You know. And thank you for sharing. And thank you for following us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Reddit. You can find us J-Rock's Metal Zone on Reddit. You can find us on Snapchat. That Metal Interview is also on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. J-Rock's Metal Zone is on Pinterest. And so as far as podcast format, we're everywhere. Basically, we're now on Apple Podcasts. Also, you guys can find us on there. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. You got Deezer. You got well, there's a bunch of different ones. So thank you for whichever is your best way, your preferred way of listening to podcasts. Thank you guys for choosing our podcast and sharing. Don't forget to share. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the video version of this interview and all the interviews. So thank you guys. And don't forget to keep it metal.